Hi everyone, welcome back to Talent Order's Breakfast Briefing, Friday, 22nd of May 2020. This week I'm joined by Nicola Breyer, ex-Head of Commercial Growth, Innovation and Transformation at PayPal. And the theme this week is the importance of mentoring and networking during COVID-19. Nicola, thank you so much for joining me this week. I really appreciate you taking the time, as I know you're really busy. Before we go into any questions, can you give the audience a bit of a background on your career history so that they understand why I may be asking you about mentoring and networking specifically?
Hi, Amy. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Why I'm here today, I guess, is that I've been building and growing and transforming companies for the last 20 years internationally, and I am excited by innovative business models in technology. That comes with, a lot of people joining in from an ecosystem and really connecting people and helping people grow and do business together. So I guess that's the mentoring and coaching is super important to me. I have mentors and coaches myself, but I also act as a coach to female founders specifically and for impact and entrepreneurs.
Amazing, thank you. So first question is quite broad. What advice do you offer business leaders in this current situation?
I think the most important bit now is to look after your people, to make sure that they're safe, they're okay with working from home, that they can associate, with work and they can match work in their family life, that they find potentially alternative times for calls, and that can find a good mix between getting work done and actually sitting in front of video calls. So I think flexibility and caring for your people is, I think, the most important advice I think I could give. And this is really the time to be human. I think the next bit is obviously know your business inside out. Really know where your business dynamics are, and potentially, park a few things, obviously, but really understand where you're going back to as and when, certain parts of your business might kick off again.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the nurture your business. I think we're doing that a lot at Talent Order, looking out for each other, having those calls. And it's not always just about work. You really want to keep that culture alive, don't you? You're not seeing each other every day, which you normally would. So yeah, having conversations about things that aren't necessarily work related as well. Really important.
Exactly. I think if you notice someone isn't okay, I mean, depending where you are in the world, there's certain things are possible. So over here, for example, in Berlin, we're allowed to go for walks. So it's potentially it's a good idea to connect with people that you think might struggle a little bit, to say let's go for a walk outside and add that more human touch, and really do not worry about hierarchies. Really, everyone matters, and just really be a human leader.
Absolutely. I love that. Okay, so how do you think businesses can be well positioned post COVID-19?
I guess this is the time to be entrepreneurial. You really have to step it up and really go into understand what you stand for. What's your DNA as a business? What are your assets? Who are your people? What skill sets do your people have beyond, the box they're in the org chart, depending on what type of company you are. If you're a technology company, you might even be able to very quickly develop a new response to the and actually start offering new services. If you do that, so if you're adaptable and if you're flexible as a person, but also as a business, I think that's your best option to be well positioned in this. And I guess coming out of this, really having a startup mindset. I mentioned humanity before. I think that's really important. If you're not a digital business yet, this is the last minute, and probably very last minute, to really consider how to reach your customers and consumers digitally, and really figure out what value proposition you offer. So your customers and consumers will also be in a changed situation. So you probably want to figure out what is changing for them, and then make sure you address those needs in whatever type of business you are. And if you can do that, I think that's super important. But really anticipate and be a step ahead, and finally, talk to the people around you. This is a new opportunity to connect with others and really enhance your ecosystem and figure out who you can partner with to overcome some of the challenges. I think if you do that, the worst thing I think you can do is not look ahead and basically just look behind you, go back to how things were, think that business will go back to what it was, and it's not. So I think making sure you remain hopeful and innovative and ensure that you look ahead as well as address the most urgent needs that you have right now. I think that's probably the best advice I can give. And
absolutely, no, I agree. I think, companies could come out of this, well, I hope, a lot more resilient. I'm hoping that we're all going to learn something from this. You've got to make good out of a bad situation, haven't you? So I'm hoping, those companies who are playing catch up with their tech, adapting from work from home, hopefully this will educate them or help them be more resilient so that if, heaven forbid, anything were to happen like this again, we're prepared.
Well, I think this is for creativity. I'm sorry. I think this is time for creative mindset, and it's a solution mindset that you need. And a solution mindset is independent of hierarchy. I think this is a great opportunity to reshape your organization, to really rethink whether the layers you have in there are the right ones, and if you're coming to results in the right possible way, or whether role-based working, some other flexible work modes, and if your roles are the right ones, there's a lot you can do. And I think just all of a sudden being able to work from home, where that potentially was a no-go before, it is obvious that it is possible, and I think hopefully continuing to change in that way, and understanding that human creativity is what is going to get us through this, but also that's our benefit versus technology and artificial intelligence, that we can be very creative. And I think that's a learning that we should take into the future.
Absolutely. So what roles do you think coaching and mentoring represent now and post-COVID-19?
I think we've all had our fair share of, online Zoom aperitivos and, office things, and trying to connect with people through technology. But a lot of us have talked about the VUCA world, trying to work with more established people who said, we're doing well, why do we need all this transformation stuff? But really, if this is a crash course for change, I mean, it really is now, and this change is going to continue to be there. So there's no going back to the old world. We are going to have to work differently. And whether it's we all have facing different ways of managing our relationships overall, right? Family, working with our teams, but also how do we connect with friends? How do we connect with coworkers? How do I make decisions in this time? I'm sitting at home, so I don't even see what's going on outside. Huge challenges, really. And I think a lot of people, and I can just speak for myself, will go from optimism, going, this is so good, opportunities, to fear, and going, how long is this going to last? What is life going to be like? What's my business going to look like? And so I think everyone in this situation can benefit from both coaching and mentoring. And I think mentoring, for me, even being more important. Coaching, I think, if you face certain challenges, like all of a sudden you do have to contract negotiate via video, which is a challenge of reading body language differently and facial expression differently. I guess that's good, or preparing differently for shareholder conversations, or potentially difficult situations if you do have to put people on furlough, or even let some people go. I guess that's coaching. But I think mentoring is even more important, to really connect with people who you can learn from, and then support others where it takes them, and it's time really, really well spent. And a lot of companies have, I guess, in the past seen coaching in problem situations, and mentoring sometimes as access to more senior people, which really it's not. It's a 360-degree approach. So I guess everyone should also not be afraid to reach out and reach out to people and say, look, I'm having an issue here. Can you help me talk this through? Or can you help my business? Or can you create some connections for me? That's all a fair game, and I think everyone should do it and should do it more, because people love being asked for help and support and love to give it, especially in times like these.
Yeah, I think additionally, from my perspective, if you are one of the unfortunate people who may have lost their job, having those conversations, keeping your mind active, having that coaching, networking with people. Yes, your dream company may have a recruitment freeze right now. However, having those conversations, building those relationships, it's never going to do any harm. Never going to do any harm. It's only going to be positive. And when they are looking to hire, they're going to think of you if you've put yourself out there and had that conversation. So that's how I see it from my perspective as well. And that's kind of what I've been saying to candidates I'm working with as well. I think it's really, really important to keep the conversation flowing on both sides. This kind of leads me on. Go on.
No, I totally agree. That's all I want to say. It's really also really a good opportunity right now to figure out who you are, what your core strengths are. It really helps talking to other people and ask them how they see you. It's totally okay to make certain conversations about you. And I think especially women aren't really good at asking for that sort of support. But yes, you should do it. You should definitely contact the people you want to speak with, who you want to be top of mind of, but also really who you value and think that can give you great input.
Absolutely. So that does kind of lead on to the next question. How do you believe is the best, most effective way to network in this situation? Obviously, you can't be going to events, you can't do a lot of things. You've got to kind of adapt to that. How do you think is the most effective way to network?
Effective, I think, is mostly. I mean, I am a big fan of LinkedIn as a platform. I think it's a brilliant tool to not only look for job ads or present yourself, but really to figure out who your network knows, and how to get to people. I think LinkedIn is great, but I think one-on-one telephone conversations are fantastic. So I thought about maybe it's good to start with yourself. So go through your phone book, go through your contacts, and see who you can contact, who you haven't spoken with for a while, and just inquire after them and ask them how they're doing, without any other intention, and just doing that. And the conversation ensues. Everyone is in this weird phase right now where they're figuring out and they're talking to lots of people, and then maybe something will come out of that they go, okay, I should connect you to this and this person. Really also think about people other than yourself that might be struggling, and inquire after them and offer support yourself. And then connections you can make. Think of people, go through your contacts and go, okay, who should potentially speak with each other? Who do I think should know each other, who don't know each other? And really just take an active role on that. And I think that's, and then obviously the 6 degrees of separation rule, I think it's actually less than that potentially, but figure out who you want to get to know, and then figure out who can connect you, and just, it's an active role, right? This can potentially be a full-time job. So networking is not only having a nice drink in the sun at a nice event, but it is actually with purpose. You need to do it with purpose and intention, and obviously with fun. But I think one of the great things we can do at the moment is also to take part in hackathons, and work on something that is actually creating, solving a problem right now. And you meet the most amazing people in these online hackathons. It also is something super productive to be done. Usually, it's a weekend with little sleep, but it is really, really great. And it gives you something new to talk about to the next person. as well. So these are the sort of things. And one thing I've started doing, and that's more of a bit of a hint, I've started going on telephone walks or WhatsApp call walks. So to get away from the video and to go for a virtual walk. And that's actually great, because you can suggest that another person also gets out of their house for a bit, and you can walk and talk and potentially grab a coffee if that's possible on the way. And I found that really also a good suggestion, and it makes someone smiley and go, okay, yeah, right, you're right, I should get away from the screen.
Absolutely. I think that's the motivation you need sometimes. You need someone to kick you up the bum to go out for a bit, and you're going to feel a lot better afterwards. Yeah, lovely. Okay, so that finally brings me on to my last question, and this is incredibly broad, so do with it what you will. Who do you think will succeed post-COVID-19?
I think I touched upon this a little bit around, when we talked about how businesses can be well positioned after COVID. I mean, there are industries where that's harder than in others. Take automotive, but there are industries that will benefit, like educational technology, health tech, energy, infrastructure, in the sense of, we all will need faster internet, and biotech obviously being one. But I think really what you need to do, if you really understand the value you're offering to your customers, and I said this before, but really think of your value proposition and anticipate what the new consumer and customer needs are, whether you're B2B or whether you're B2C. Anticipate what's changing for them, talk to them, ask them what's changing to them. If you're close to the market, I think that's one really important factor. And then be innovative and be entrepreneurial, in the sense of, okay, so maybe my current business is stalling or is going, is declining. What can I do? What's my DNA as a person and as a company? So this goes for people and businesses alike. Who am I? What value do I offer? What can I do? And then go into an innovation process and involve, if you're a business, involve your people in it and take them along and ask them to contribute, to figure out, what else can be done. And we've seen so many people now obviously produce protective gear, breweries producing disinfectant, not really quite sure that's going to remain one of their business lines, but that was a very, very quick and fast and entrepreneurial response, and it brings money in because people pay for it. And that's just an example of people who adapt and react well, and it will give you a spirit of future, and it will give you a spirit of activity, rather than looking backwards and saying, oh, times were so nice before and they're terrible now. Yeah. I think that's really important. And then again, don't think as potentially, offices open again and things change, don't think that your people can be left alone. Again, it really stay close to who they are. You need them, and some people will say, okay, people will be happy to have a job, but opportunities will come up. So don't be too sure of your people. You don't neglect them. Keep hand-holding and keep giving them new opportunities in this time. Trust in them, give them challenges, and allow them to really make a contribution to the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely put. Perfect. Well, that is all of my questions for today. Thank you so much for taking part. I'm sure our viewers will find it really helpful, especially given the current climate. And thank you for bearing with us with the internet. We've had a lot of issues today. If you do have any further questions for Nicola, or any ideas for what themes you'd like to hear about next, please email me on amy.morris@talentorder.com or message me on LinkedIn. If you missed last week's breakfast briefing with Katia Lang, I will leave the link down below. I hope you're all staying safe and well. I'll see you next week. Bye.